Hello and welcome to Wineskins, a program featuring reflections on the lives of the saints and the sacred scriptures, along with a variety of topics and issues from a Catholic perspective. I'm your host, Father Jim Corda. Our show is sponsored by the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts, a division of the Society of St. Paul. On our show today, I will interview Jessica Robinson, Executive Director for the St. Vincent de Paul Society for Mahoning County. We will also hear more about the life of Blessed James Alberione and the readings for this feast of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the Universe. That and more on Wineskins. In our current issue segment, I will speak with George Garchar on Catholic Charities. George Garchar, welcome to Wineskins.
Thank you, Father Corda. Glad to be here.
I know as Executive Director for Catholic Charities for both Stark and Portage County, there's really a lot that your agencies are doing. So tell us what keeps you busy these days.
All right, I'd be glad to do that. We have our standard services. I know I've been on the show before and talked about those, but just in quick review, really all of the Catholic Charities in the Diocese of Youngstown, a lot of our focus is on what we call basic needs assistance. So that's helping people that are in danger of being evicted or having their utilities turned off. Food is another big area of our service. I think our agency, probably more than the other agencies, really have a focus on our food pantry, and our numbers have continued to grow there. And then we have our First Step program, which is, I think, pretty well known, where we help families with really starting with expectant moms through families with children up to the age of 3. We help with material assistance, diapers, formula, clothing, as well as, parenting, sort of light education and case management around parenting skills and so forth. We have, of course, our seasonal programs, Christmas and back to school and all of those kinds of things. And then each of the sites have unique programs. I won't go into detail today. I know I've talked about those in the past. But just in terms of busyness, it's, our focus and our goal is really revolves around those basic services. But like any small business, in a sense, you've got all these other things, life happens. And so there's just dealing with the day-to-day sort of little emergencies that come up, personnel issues, client issues. In our Ravenna site, we have our Caritas Cafe, which is designed really for people just to drop in, get a cup of coffee, get some light breakfast, socialize. But anytime you have a group of people that, have stresses in their life, there's some stress that sort of gets acted out, so we have to deal with that. And it gets sometimes very busy and challenging. But I always try to remind myself that I'm blessed to be able to do this work and to be able to make a living doing this work. So on the tough days, I have to remind myself of that.
Before we get into some of the new programs that's happening in the agencies, I would probably be safe to say that every day is not the same. There's always something that kind of creeps in, but that's what life is all about, isn't it?
Correct.
And your agencies, like all the Catholic Charities agencies, are equipped to deal with whatever happens. What would be some unusual things that happen in your agencies?
One example would be if we'll get folks that'll walk in and really they're just sort of lost as to where they can go for help. Sometimes people will come to a community, they think they have a job or they have a friend, and that doesn't go so well, and then they're just sort of stuck, really. And then so we're challenged to try to help them within the resources that we have. There have been a couple of folks in Ravenna that essentially are homeless, and we don't really have a homeless shelter that we run, and we try to coordinate with the other agencies, but there are times when there just isn't a place for various reasons for them to go, and we do the best we can, like we'll allow them to leave their stuff with us. It starts out to be a day or two, and then it lasts longer, and then in one case, the gentleman he was in jail, and so we were with this stuff, and we weren't sure what to do with it or how long we needed to keep it. So that's, I guess, some of the unusual situations.
In our last few minutes, just tell us about some of the new programs that are being started.
Well, I'll mention, I guess, one in particular that we're proud of. It's our furniture program out of the Canton office, and this is an example of something that really evolved out of a need. Our administrative assistant, who typically answers the phones, noticed that we were getting a lot of calls from people needing furniture. Either they were coming out of homelessness, they were moving from transitional shelter into an apartment, maybe there was a fire, or in some cases, unfortunately, bed bugs. For all kinds of reasons, needed to replace their furniture or get new furniture that they hadn't ever had before. And so we really this year started a program, and we were very fortunate to get a grant to provide that furniture. And the way we do it, rather than reinvent the wheel, is we struck up a partnership with Habitat Restore. And what we do is we essentially buy gift certificates from them at a discount. So they give us like a 20% discount. And the furniture is really inexpensive to begin with. And then we use those gift cards or vouchers to allow our clients to then purchase what they need. And we have criteria set up, and it's not just anyone that wants furniture can get it. There, obviously there's rules and policies around how we do this. But it's been very successful. We've helped well over 60 families already.
George, in closing, tell us how the folks that are listening could help your agencies, especially as we come to the holidays.
Monetary donations are always welcome because that allows us the flexibility to do what we need at a given time. But certainly material donations as well are helpful. Many parishes are involved with our Christmas gift distribution, so participate with your parishes on that. Obviously, the Bishop's Appeal is always something that we'd like to see people give to their abilities. Volunteer, call the office if you think you might want to volunteer, and we'll do our best to find a placement that way as well. And then prayer, always, keep us in your prayers.
George Garchar, is always a pleasure to have you with us and enlightening us on the wonderful programs in Stark and Portage counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Father Corda.
For Wineskins, I'm Father Jim Corda. The feast of Blessed James of Barione is celebrated today. To tell us more about this religious founder and innovator is Pam Pasquale. She is from St. Charles Church in Boardman.
Father James Alberione, founder of the Pauline family, was born in Italy on April 4, 1884. At the age of 16, James entered the seminary of Alba. On June 29, 1907, he was ordained a priest. During his time as an assistant pastor, he met a young Joseph Giacardo, his future helper, now Blessed Timothy. Father Alberione had come to understand that the Lord was guiding him as a young priest toward a new mission to preach the gospel to all peoples in the spirit of St. Paul, using the modern instruments of communications. Thus, on August 20th, 1914, Father Alberione initiated the Pauline family in Alba, founding the Society of St. Paul. With the help of the young sister, Teresa Merlo, they began a second congregation the following year, the Daughters of St. Paul. Having already begun the magazine, The Pastoral Life, for parish priests, he eventually began the weekly magazine called The Christian Family, striving to nourish the Christian life of families. The goal that Father Alberione wanted his spiritual sons and daughters to pursue above all else was complete conformation to Christ and his way of life. His ultimate goal was to have them embrace the whole Christ, way, truth, and life with one's entire being, mind, will, heart, and physical energies. Father Alberione died at the age of 87 on November 26, 1971. In his last hours, he was comforted by the visit of Pope Paul VI, who had never hidden his admiration and veneration for him. James Alberione was declared blessed by Pope St. John Paul II on April 27, 2003. For Wineskins, I'm Pam Pasquale.
Joining me now is Jessica Robinson, who is the Executive Director of the St. Vincent de Paul Society for Mahoning County. Jessica, it's a pleasure to have you on Wineskins.
Thank you for having me.
The folks that are with us, we'd like to let them know that it's going to be a two-part series, so we'll try to talk as much as we can in this first part, and then we're going to join you again right before Christmas, and so we'll kind of hear more about St. Vincent de Paul then. But let's begin, first of all, by you telling us a little bit about yourself, so the folks that are with us can get a little more familiar with you.
Sure. So, like you said, my name's Jessica Robinson. I am the director for Mahoning County District. I started with St. Vincent de Paul about 3 years now, and I started as an intern when I was just at YSU, and I was doing their social networking, and I just really fell in love with it. So I've just kind of brought myself up from there and just really fell in love with what I do.
That's wonderful. We know that St. Vincent de Paul has a very rich mission, and they've been here in the Valley, but also in the diocese for a long time. And so Please tell the folks that are with us a little bit about the mission of St. Vincent de Paul.
Sure. So St. Vincent de Paul is a national nonprofit organization. It's a Catholic lay organization. So men and women throughout the entire world, they come together, and we refer to them as Vincentians, and they provide various services for people in need. Here in the Valley, we really focus on feeding the hungry, and we do so through our food pantry and our dining hall.
Let's talk a little bit more about the mission, because that's really what drives St. Vincent de
Yes.
Paul. But any kind of organization in the church, you have to have a goal, you have to have a mission. And why is it so important for you and the folks that work with you to feed the hungry?
So unfortunately, best case scenario would be that we put ourselves out of a job tomorrow. Poverty is over and everything is solved. Unfortunately, through the past years, we can see that is not occurring. And so we are here to provide for people that are in need. Now, sometimes there are people that are stuck in poverty, but sometimes it's just mother who needs groceries. It's a husband who just lost his wife in their older age. It's truly anyone that just needs that extra assistance, and we just really provide for them, and we make sure that there's a hot meal. We make sure that they have a food box for the month. So we just really focus and make sure that those necessities are there for them when needed.
There's a new location, obviously, for St. Vincent de
Yes.
Paul that we'd really like to highlight, and it's really in cooperation with one of our sister churches. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about the new kitchen at St. Vincent de Paul.
Sure. So we were just blessed with moving to a new location. It is in the basement of St. Cyril Methodius Church. The address to that is 252 East Wood Street in Youngstown. And it's actually located across the street from our food pantry, which is part of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. So our new kitchen, it's open Monday through Friday, 11 to 12:30 for a lunch, and then Saturdays for a breakfast from 10 to 11. So the diocese has been wonderful with us, just really inviting us in, and they know what our mission is, they know what we do, and they were excited to really become a part of it. St. Cyril and Methodius Church, they are also very inviting, and they just love having us there, and they love the new breath of energy that we bring to the church.
That's great. And it's a wonderful utilization of a space
Yes.
that's there and it's available.
Yes.
And how do you work with the food pantry? Is there any cooperation or consultation with them?
Yeah, it's been great having everybody in one area, because if we have a guest that needs a hot meal, but they also need some groceries at the house, we can just send them right across the street and get them set up with a food voucher from our food pantry. So it's been great having everybody in one area.
That's great.
Yes.
Wonderful. And I think that cooperation is really important, because you do have one mission.
Yes.
You're feeding the poor, you're
Yes.
feeding the hungry. And that's really kind of one of the directives of the Lord, too, is to feed the hungry and clothe
By
the
far.
naked and visit the sick. And
Yes.
so I think doing this corporal work of mercy is really a wonderful thing that St.
Thank
Vincent
you.
de Paul does. And we talked about those that you serve in general. Let's try to put some face on some of the people that actually come to the facility.
Sure. So we are always open to anyone and everyone. But the faces that we see there more, well, right next door to us is Chaufin Learning Center. So we've actually been seeing some of their students. We are located really close to YSU also. So some of those students that are from afar, they have found us and they are coming down for hot meals. But like you said, we also see just people that do live on the streets, and they come in for that hot meal. They come in to rest their head. It's something to not only see, but it's a different experience once you are actually serving them.
How do you get to know these people? Because I would imagine that the folks that work and minister at
Yes.
St. Vincent de Paul get to know the people, because some of them are probably regulars.
Oh, by far. So from our old location on Front Street, which is in downtown Youngstown as well, our regulars come with us up to the new location. And like you said, it's easy to learn their story, because they're more than happy to tell you about themselves. And you sit with these people and they become somebody that you talk to on a daily. I can run into them and be like, hey, friend, how are you today? And they'll let you know. But I will say that they are the most gracious people I have ever met. They are thankful for what we provide, and they make your hardships seem like nothing, because they are happy that their feet were on the ground today when they woke up.
Let's talk about the many people that help at St. Vincent de Paul, because in order to do what you do, you need a lot of people.
Oh,
so let's talk about the volunteers.
Sure. So the volunteers, our main groups come from our parishes. In each parish, there is a St. Vincent de Paul conference within that parish, and they are very dedicated to helping the district succeed in what we do. So they will come down with their groups. They will sponsor a week, and they will usually make a monetary donation to provide the meals for the week, and then they also come with their group to serve. They usually have about 8 to 10 volunteers that come with their groups, but it's not only limited to parish conferences. We also invite businesses from around the area to come down, serve for a day, see what we're about. So we have businesses come down, and also schools, Ursuline and Mooney. They're always coming down with their student groups, and they are there throughout the year as well. Like you said, it takes quite a force of people to make this happen, but they are dedicated and they love being with us.
In our final minute, give us the times and the hours and the location of St. Vincent de Paul.
Sure. So our dining hall is 252 East Wood Street, and that is in Youngstown in the basement of St. Cyril Methodius. Monday through Friday, we serve meals from 11 to 12:30, and Saturday, we serve from 10 to 11 a breakfast.
Jessica Robinson, it's a pleasure to have you on Wineskins. We look forward to your presence again the day before Christmas, and to tell us a little bit more about the wonderful work of St. Vincent de Paul here in Mahoning County. Thank you for your ministry and your vocation, and to all those who work with you.
Thank you for having us.
For Wineskins, I'm Father Jim Corda. To receive more information on that and other issues, and to listen to Wineskins, visit the website of the Catholic Diocese of Youngstown at www.doi.org. Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
I am Marino.
Je suis Marino.
I am Marino.
I believe that we are all connected to each other, and that it is the gift of compassion that unites us and makes us one. It doesn't matter what language, culture, or tradition we come from. We can share compassion wherever we are.
Marino, an American Catholic organization of priests and brothers, has been reaching out to those in need for nearly 100 years in 26 countries throughout the world. Marino dedicates 86 cents of every dollar donated to their programs, and with your help, they can do more. Missioners, workers, volunteers, supporters, we are all Marino.
I am Marino.
Yo soy Marino.
I'm Father Mike, and I am Marino.
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 33 million Americans have descended into poverty. And as their futures fall, so does our nation's.
They say America is the land of opportunity, but for some, life isn't so easy. Right now in America, 1 in 6 children lives below the poverty line. That's nearly 13 million children of all races, all across our country. Where do you draw the line and get involved? You can make a difference in more ways than you think. Go to povertyusa.org today, because 1 in 6 children in poverty is one too many. A message from the Catholic Campaign for Human Development.
Our song today is by Chris Muglia. It is from their CD entitled Fight the Fight.
I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. Yes, I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. No turning back, I've made my plan. I'm on the road to the promised land. I can't wait to meet him on that day. 'Cause I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. 'Cause I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. I ain't turning back, I've made my plan. I'm on the road to the promised land, 'cause I can't wait to meet Jesus on that day. 'Cause I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. Yes, I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be in heaven. You know it's true that I can't wait to meet my Lord and King. And Jesus is the one who set me free, yeah. 'Cause I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. Yes, I found a good time on the road that leads to heaven. There's no better place for me, nowhere else I'd rather be than heaven. No, no.
Our scripture reflections for this feast of our Lord Jesus Christ, King of the universe, will be by Father Larry Frent. He is pastor of St. Paul the Apostle Church in New Middletown and canonical pastor of Holy Rosary Church in Lowville.
We haven't been living under the reign of kings and queens for a long time. Still, it's amazing how much our lives are surrounded by talk of royalty, talk about kings and queens. We don't have to look far to find catchwords that have to do with kings and queens. Like some people live at the Royal Mall Apartments or shop at Value King. We can eat at Burger King or Dairy Queen, the Kingwood Manor Banquet, or the King's Inn. In some places, you can drink Royal Crown Cola or even the King of Beers. You can watch TV events that are held in Royal Stadium, or once upon a time, there was a place called the Kingdome. One possible vacation spot near Cincinnati is called Kings Island. There is an interesting comic strip character, the King, in The Wizard of Id. Now, conjure up memories of an old favorite childhood game. It was called King of the Hill. To get to the top and stay there, you'd go to this mound of dirt, and the journey there was so dangerous. It could get a little rough sometimes, especially for those who aren't exactly big. But overall, no doubt, talk about kings and queens still crowns our language, and it makes up many of our household words. Consider our fairy tales. Everybody wants to be associated with a member of a royal family. Even do all kinds of things. Kiss a frog, to become a prince, or to become something very, very special. So why? Why are kings and queens so important? Why so much talk about royal matters in this age of a democracy? Because kings and queens represent the very best. No one can top them. No way, no how. So why is it that we celebrate this special feast today in which we honor Christ the King? Because we believe that God gives us the very best. He gives us Jesus. No one can top Jesus. No way, no how. And yet there's an ironic twist to Christ's being a king. The main hill that he ever climbed was Mount Calvary, where he died. The only crown that he ever wore was a crown of thorns. And unlike most kings, Jesus did not remain distant from his people. He also did not lord his authority over them. He lived among them and still comes among us to share his role. It's a role that's only carried out by recognizing his uniqueness, where we often least expect a king to reign, in the many among us who have so many needs. Jesus never said there'd be no struggle in his kingdom, for there are plenty of struggles. And yet, these struggles are different than most struggles for kingship. In the kingdom of Jesus, it's not meant to be a struggle to keep people away from the level that we're on, but instead, our struggle for this kingdom involves a struggle against the tendency to overlook the needs of others, and it's a struggle against our own desires to make ourselves most important of all. God knows in day-to-day life it can be a little rough bringing about God's kingdom. That's why he gave and continues to give us his very best, Jesus our King, who is with us every step of the way. For Wineskins, this is Father Larry Friend.
Only St. Matthew describes the final judgment in his gospel, when our future will depend on how we have cared for others, especially the most vulnerable and most needy, the hungry, the thirsty, the stranger, the naked, the sick, the imprisoned. If the last judgment were to happen today, what verdict would you receive? Wineskins is made possible by the annual Bishop's Appeal, the Catholic Communication Campaign, and St. Paul's Catholic Books and Gifts. The program is produced by CTNY, the Catholic Telecommunications Network of Youngstown. I'm your host, Father Jim Corda, wishing you a blessed Sunday and a safe week.